Bethel, a church beloved by many, despised by others, and at the center of many controversies. One phenomenon in particular has drawn the skepticism of many critics, the glory cloud. I have personally read and watched videos online of people who have never been to Bethel and certainly weren't there when the glory cloud happened, and yet claim it was all fake. So what I decided to do was go talk to some people who were there, who were in the room, and saw the glory cloud firsthand, and let you decide for yourself what to think after having heard their experience.
What's your name?
My name is Wes Sumner.
And what do you do?
What do I do for a job?
Yeah.
I currently work for the IT department at Bethel Church.
How long have you worked there?
The IT department, I've worked here going on 7 years. For Bethel Church, it's going on since January 2007.
Okay, what did you do for work at Bethel during the time the glory cloud showed up?
I was one of the production sound guys.
Okay, and you saw the glory cloud?
Multiple times.
How many times?
I don't know.
In what room?
This room, the sanctuary that we're sitting backstage right now, but it was in the sanctuary.
What year was that?
I couldn't tell you that. Maybe 2011. I don't remember exactly how far back that was.
Okay. So tell me about it. What was it like? What happened?
So the first time I remember, it was later in the service. So it was past worship. It was past all that. And it was I want to say it was at the end of the speaker maybe moving into ministry time. The reason why I say that is because we're actually sitting where I work the majority of the time in the monitor, what we called monitor land. And I remember walking out and being in the audience. And I would not have done that unless it was at the end of the service. So I remember walking from the main sound booth up the aisle, and like people are freaking out because everybody's seeing this stuff. And for me, what it looked like the first time, and it didn't look like this again, but what it looked like was, you know, when you get a static charge, like on your hand, and then you go to something and there's like little sparks. Like if you look in between the fingers or whatever, you can see the little sparks. So it looked like that was happening everywhere, all up in the air everywhere.
How big? Like a 3x3 square? What?
No, it was literally everywhere.
The entire sanctuary.
How far I could tell it was, I couldn't really tell a depth on it. So it wasn't like, oh, that's 10 feet away up in the air. Uh-huh. It looked like it was like right in front of you. Okay. But it was happening everywhere.
Did you feel anything?
Feel it in what way? Like physically?
Like the presence of God or whatever. Physically, yeah, even. Like, or were you just feeling exactly normal like you always
I don't remember. I couldn't say for sure. I don't remember feeling weird, though. I don't remember feeling anything out of the ordinary. There definitely was an excitement in the crowd, though. So, because a lot of the audience was definitely making, like, gasp and, oh my gosh, like, comments like that, because this something was 100% happening, and it was definitely out of the norm. And so, yeah, that's what it looked like. It was just hundreds, thousands, I don't want to say millions, but it was a lot of these little spark-looking things that were just going off like everywhere.
And this was the first time you saw it?
That was the first time I saw it.
What about another time?
So another time...
And you never saw it in another room?
No.
Okay.
No, it was always in this room. So I worked a lot of Friday nights, and I worked a lot of Sunday nights. And I want to say the first night was Friday night.
Okay.
Yeah, so other times, though, numerous other times, I don't know how many I saw it. I don't know how many times it actually happened. But probably another handful, maybe.
So under 5.
Probably.
Okay.
I would say between that first one, but then maybe right around 5, I'd say.
Let me pause you. Is production doing this?
No.
Are
100%.
sound guys doing this?
No.
What about fog machine?
No, we didn't have fog machines.
What about dust in the vents?
No.
What about glitter someone put in the vents?
No.
How do you know for sure?
I mean, I don't know for sure, but what I saw was not glitter.
Was it anything like a fog machine?
No.
Okay. Is there anything else that you can imagine that could have been contrived or made up?
So I will say this: the second time, I know this was the second time I saw it. It was not there in the room, and then all of a sudden, there was this visible dust-like, smoke-like, cloud-like, glittery thing.
Did it have a color to it?
I mean, it was shimmery goldy.
Okay.
Like, I don't know if you could really tell the color of it. It was like sparkling though, like because it was catching the light, and so it would.
Because there's certain lights up in the ceiling, like spotlights
so it would
and stuff.
catch the light and it would sparkle.
Okay.
It wasn't glitter. As a maintenance person for my church back home, and as talking to a former fellow maintenance member, glitter doesn't behave this way, right? And
how did it behave then?
so it was very ethereal, floaty. So
it wasn't just moving on air currents. Is that what you're saying?
No, it wasn't. It didn't look like it was moving with the air conditioner. I don't remember what time of year it was happening necessarily. There would have been air flowing, but it wasn't like stuff was coming out of the registers and then there was like swirls as it's coming out of the registers. It looked like it was more just this ambiguous, like moving all around.
So all of your senses told you this is supernatural, or it's.
Well, I wouldn't say that at first because I'm fairly skeptical.
Okay.
With this sort of stuff. So at first, not for the first time. The first time was like, I don't know what this is because it looked like sparks to me, right? Well, the second time though, it looked more physical. And so I'm thinking, I don't know what that is, but you could touch it. So at the end of the service, since we're working sound, we would walk up, like there's subwoofers sort of like right underneath that you can get to the top of it, and then the stage is also right there, and I could go rub my hand across the stage, and just like running it through dust or dirt or something, it was all over my hand, sparkle stuff, and we actually were able to get samples of that. And I think you've interviewed Jerry Aronson also.
Yep.
Well, he sent them off, and for my recollection, the guy that tested this, I think it was a gemologist. I think that's what you call him. He said the closest thing that it was like a form of mica or something like that.
Okay.
But he didn't know what it was. That was just the closest thing that he could get.
To your subwoofer thing.
Yeah.
You may not know this, but the custodial team, every time before service, we spray and wipe those down so there's no dust on them, and then we put a Kleenex box on top of them. So, I'm just saying that wasn't just accumulated dust.
No, it
we wipe
definitely
it down
wasn't just
between
dust.
every service. We wipe those things down.
Right.
So, anything else? What about other times you saw it?
So at first, that second time when it was the dust and I could physically touch it, and I'm like, okay, well, what the heck could this be? Because I'm sitting here thinking, well, this could be anything. So one of the changes that the sound team did make within a very short time period, and then this started happening, was we changed the screens, the projector screens up in the ceiling. The first time, though, the cloud stuff didn't appear in that area.
In that vicinity.
In that vicinity.
And that's after the change.
And that's after the change.
Okay.
We then changed it, and it was sort of in the vicinity of the projector and the projector screen. So it was more on the north side of the sanctuary.
What is that, like stage left, stage right?
So if you're standing in the back of the room and you're looking at the stage, it's the right side of the room.
Okay.
It was up in that area. And yeah, it was moving like crazy.
How
We got
long-
samples.
How long did it last? 30 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour?
I think it varied. Sometimes it would come and go fairly quickly, but other times it seemed to stay.
And how did everybody respond? Was everybody reverent? Was everybody...
There were some
people
people
being weird?
legitimately. Some people were absolutely reverent. Like they could tell, or it seemed like they were having this encounter in the presence of the Lord, and they were on their face. They were on their knees. Other people were very hysterical, like they were trying to catch it and play in it, and that sort of thing. And it seemed like some people were more focused on what was happening than the Lord in the moment.
What do you make of all that?
What do I make of which one? Which part?
Well, some people think if God showed up in some fantastical way that everybody would fall on their faces. And so some people say, I know it's not God because everybody didn't do that, right?
Yeah.
They think of Solomon's temple and the glory that
Right.
fell. What would you say to that?
I don't know if I have a good, I'm not willing to, in my encounters with the Lord or my encounters with the Lord, and I'm not willing to look upon another person's encounters and voice a criticism or a, because I've had encounters personally that would absolutely 100% look hysterical and I wasn't in control of it.
Okay.
So I'm not willing to make that judgment for every person's heart. Did it look like from an outside perspective like they were more worried about the cloud than the Lord? Sure. But their internal heart, I don't know where that was at.
What do you think it was?
I think glory cloud's a fairly good description.
So you're like the Lord's glory, an angel, just something other?
It was physical because we could gather it, we could test it. It was a substance, an unknown substance. What it felt like was the veil in those moments. Part of the spirit world was coming into the physical world, maybe.
Okay. Do you have anything else you want to say about it? My
history and background is a traditional Methodist, and so when I came here to what I term as charismania, most of the charismatic, supernaturally things that have transpired here, I didn't have an understanding or a grid for really. So my perspective is very traditional background. And in the midst of seeing this stuff that I don't have an explanation for and I can't figure it out, and we purposely went and tested stuff to try to figure out, like, is this, is this that? Is there stuff in the vents? Like,
Yeah.
we went and tried to figure out what this was physically to come up with an explanation, and we never could. So I have to be okay with the fact that I don't know what it was. It 100% happened. It was real. It was slightly different each time, it seemed like. And I don't know what it was.
Okay. All right. Do you want to maybe point in the room where it was? I'll see if I can capture that on camera.
If We could. There's just kids in here right now.
I'll try to avoid capturing them.
But the majority of the time, it was sort of up by the speakers, not this close one, but the speakers hanging up over there. We used to have projectors going off to the side roughly in that area. And so it was between the basketball goal and then the stage. It would be sort of up in that area. Okay. That's where it happened mostly. But like I said, that first night, it was happening everywhere I could see. And then other nights, I think it was other places too. So it wasn't necessarily the same place every time.
Okay. Oh, thanks, Wes. Appreciate it, man.
Yep, not a problem.